This conference will now be recorded.
You're live. We're live. So it says 15 on there and 13 on there. Which way do we want to go? The computer says 15. Yep. All right. We're going to open our town meeting to review project for application for the CDBG grant. The town sponsoring Madison Valley Medical Center for their preliminary architectural report. You want to tell us about that? Yes, please.
You'll need to turn it on. There's a rocker switch. Light power switch. Yeah. Hold it down for a second. There you are.
All right. So my name is Tanya Gustafson. I'm with the Madison Valley Medical Center Foundation, and we are kind of sponsoring, backing a preliminary architectural review for the Madison Valley Medical Center. What this is a way to fund an architect and an engineering firm to come in and look at our building as a whole and some of the needs that we have. Some of those needs are our boilers are at the end of life. One went out unexpectedly last winter. We've gotten it back up and going, but to replace 3 boilers, you're looking at probably $100,000, something that is a large expense. We also have a water heater that went out last year that we've replaced. The foundation actually funded, but looking ahead, we're going to need to replace the other 1 or 2. I forget if there are 1 or if there's a total of 2 or 3 water heaters for the facility. We also have spatial needs. So as you guys know, we use the barn here to house the ambulances, which is critical in the winter months to keep them warmer at temperature and ready to roll. We would like to look at adding an enclosure somewhere on our property to be able to house the ambulance from there. That would eliminate some of the need to come here, take another ambulance. So that would allow us to get to our patients faster in emergencies. We need to look at parking. Our parking lot is very full, especially on days that we do our pain procedures. There's often no parking for any drop-ins. Right now we're looking at leasing the space across the road for our employees to park for a temporary solution, but we need to look at a longer term solution. Part of this could also involve looking at our helipad. We may need to make the helipad a little larger to accommodate bigger birds. We need to look at our operational control system that addresses the climate throughout the building. That again is 15 years old, the age of the building, and is starting to fail and malfunction. So we may need to address that. We need to look for ways to potentially utilize space differently. We have more storage with more patient needs. We might be able to become more efficient with our usage of space in the clinic and throughout the medical center. So the architect would be looking at that. We also want to address our parking lot, which was built at the time very beautifully with little raised curbs. That's no longer the standard parking lot because of mobility issues and age. It's a hazard. So we want to look at that if that needs to be corrected. Obviously, that's not as critical as the boilers and building operating systems, but this grant would allow us to, would fund the architect and engineering firm to come in and do a report for us that would then allow us to apply for CDBG Community Development Block Grant funding this fall. October 1st is the deadline for that, and we would be working with Craig Erickson with Great West Engineering to do that.
October 1st.
Yep. So I'm hoping that those funds would help fund a lot of the needs that would be identified through the architecture report. Is there anything else I can answer? Any questions? I have one that we're talking with, and the engineering firm is actually the engineering firm who helped design our current building, so they're very familiar with what's there and what can be done most efficiently. I've been talking with them and an architect who teams up with them. Craig also recommended another architect to talk to, and as part of the grant, we will have to put an RFP out. As soon as we're awarded, we'll put the RFP out and follow all the rules for selecting the right person. But yes, that is underway and we'll be ready to roll. Part of the application is includes a budget and a write-up about the budget. So I have to engage with them to put that part of the application together.
So the town is sponsoring, are we sponsoring matching funds or anything like that?
No, the foundation is fully sponsoring the matching funding, which is 25% of up to $50,000. So it is $12,500 that the foundation would sponsor. So really all the town is doing is allowing Nikki to sign the environmental report and for you guys to approve the sponsorship of our grant application.
And there's only one grant per year?
No, we talked with, I talked with Craig Erickson last week, and you may have more than one, a town may have more than one CDBG at the same time.
So we can still apply for a growth policy?
Yeah.
That's not what it says in there. In
Yeah,
there.
I read.
You're correct, and that's what Craig and I thought too. But he called the lady who's in charge of it, and she said, "There's technically this loophole." So how Craig explained it to me was the planning board and I couldn't apply at the same time, but they're going to be able to apply and be considered and go forward in the next grant application cycle, which is in June.
We won't hear back on that current grant that we put in for.
For the House Bill 819, no, that committee is currently reviewing those.
But this wouldn't be funding the same project anyways, right?
No. Well, are you talking about CDBG to finish the growth policy?
That's what I'm talking about, but the House bill was for water.
Also for, no, that was 355 and that was for meters. 819 was for 36,000 and that was for the initial part of the growth policy.
And from what I understand, it sounds like you all might need to do a CDBG grant in 2025 or 26. So part of what does well with this is if we receive, we'll probably go forward with it regardless. If we don't get the grant funding, we will probably fund it ourselves because we do need this addressed very quickly. So we will be applying to this year's CDBG grant, which would make us out of the way. Like you guys would have all of your needs addressed when you're ready in future years.
Yeah, that was one thing, one of my friends from Twin Bridges had an issue with is like different organizations not communicating when they're putting in for grants. So the town of Twin Bridges and the fire department are still like butting heads right now from a grant application last year. But yeah, I think
Grant applications are a process, and it's a process that, as you guys are probably learning, I'm learning, needs to be planned out years in advance because there's so many components that lead up and lead into all of it. So yeah, it is something that everyone needs to coordinate on.
Yeah, as long as we're sure that this isn't going to affect our,
No, and the planning board has to establish the same criteria. We have our 36,000. Typically a growth policy is anywhere between 30 and 50. And you can get the gamut. I've heard up to 80, but the vast majority of them are 30 to 50. And the depending factor is how much involvement is required from the engineering firm or the contractor. So we have to pre-plan how much we want before it goes to bid. And then you can put in for the grants knowing how much. The next part of CDBG, they need to know the plan and have our bids for an approximate. Does that make sense?
I think so.
So they're not ready at this stage.
Okay.
So for us, like I walked through the building and I've talked with the architecture and the engineering firm a couple times, and they know all the pieces that they're going to have to put into their quote. So we're pretty much ready to go as soon as they give me their budget.
Any other questions? Still have to call for public comment. Any public comment?
Is there anybody
Once?
online?
Nope. Second call for public comment. Last call for public comment. All right.
This is John Way for the record. I move to approve this grant application.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Oh,
I do have a question. So if we move forward with this, does that kind of solidify that we'll be annexing the hospital in?
no, they're never.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
This
There we
is
go.
just to address the needs in the current space so that we can maximize the use and bring everything up to the aging infrastructure up to date.
How much property do you own to the north?
There is a sliver, how I've been told. I think it kind of follows the fence line on the north side of the helipad. So I personally would like them to look at if we might be able to move the helipad to that further to that sliver and expand the parking lot a little further that way. We have talked with the state about potentially having another access point into that northern piece of property. Even if we could get 5 of our staff vehicles over there, it would help us. But I think that it has gone nowhere several times. But I'm hoping if we can make it part of that where we're not adding another entrance off of the highway, that makes sense to me from a building perspective. So I would like them to look at that.
Yeah, because that's kind of the only direction you can go for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any other questions or clarifications?
Is the parking on the bottom, that's for just for clinics?
It's fully utilized. Yeah. I wasn't here before COVID, but my understanding is during the COVID time, that entrance is no longer used by patients. So that parking is mostly used by staff. And I would say a large part of the southern parking lot is used by staff, but that's mostly the patient parking lot. The northern parking lot, I think, is used mostly for ER patients and also the doctors and nurses who work right in the ER. So hopefully by moving some more staff parking towards a gravel lot right across the street, we will alleviate for more patient parking. But ultimately, as we continue to have more patients and growth, we're going to need more space.
Is that Vievich's property?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I don't know if it's signed yet, but I think we've gotten the official go-ahead that we will turn that into a gravel lot with solar lights for our staff parking this summer. And then I think they're potentially talking about other options long-term.
All right. Anything else? I'm going to call the vote then.
Aye.
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 All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Ginger, should I turn this off now?
We're adjourned and we'll get with Craig.
Yes, the application's due by 5 on Monday, so I reserved time with them on Monday, and I will have numbers from the architecture and engineering firm.
Perfect. He's already prepped signature pages.
Okay. There's 2 letters in one of the applications.
Yeah, perfect. So, perfect.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Oh, did she forget her coffee cup?
Yes, you did.
How fast? What the hell is meeting? Let's do that again.
Yeah.
Or not.
Or not. Yeah, I'm not.
Somebody, see if there's still food. There's mine, I know that.
For my next meeting.
That's not yet. It's
I gotta go prep for it. It's in the morning. I went to the library this morning to see if it was posted, so when I was reading your notes, I'm like, oh, I read that. Me and Mary got it all that this morning.
You were reading my notes?
For
Well, that was quick.
Yeah. Yes, I don't know if I can hear that would impact other budgets.
Yes, I said.
Where did these go?
I didn't respond back to the question. Good night. shared it, you know, a different capacity. We were down at 50 people in here coming at us, you know, for zoning, for COVID time, whatever else. And I was just like, doing headlights, and I'm like, all right, get him, James, you know, that's just take shit. Very, very open. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and that's it's handy to know you got both on the page. You know. Yeah, it's on your. Sure, that's even Carl and Emily. Carl applied for town commissioner position. Oh, oh, it's just going off about what he's gonna do. It's just like, yeah, it's all good, man. We don't need you, but I mean, now, absolutely. So, and I'm not saying, I'm not saying, but I think there's, in April, other decision. I think this one, I feel. Sure. Yes. Yeah. Conversations I had. So, we should look at all opportunities. I mean, that's our job, right? We should look at all the opportunities, at what cost. It's us, it's taxpayers, all of that. And if we come to where he's asking for cost, then I think we can. Yeah. And I kind of back off that these things. Yeah. That's one of my questions. Okay, what is the replacement? Like, I don't know this guy, or what's his MO? Do we have that person who's ready to come out? So, haymakers, what we need, somebody who throws haymakers. Yeah. Yeah, my biggest change. Yeah. Well, that's kind of the, you know, you're being a prosecuting attorney, the very nature of the title suggests conflict, you know, it's like, all right, why is this lasting? Why is this team? Very aggressive. That's what he's very aggressive. That doesn't necessarily make a great question. Oh, no.
So, yeah, and I'll talk to Frank tomorrow, for sure.
All right, so we do this again next week, right?
Yeah. Only don't plan on being out here by 6:30.
Oh, come on.
Hey, come on. It's not my fault. I keep my mouth shut.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We have to sign things.
Yeah, we have to.
That's 5 minutes. Yeah, it's on.